Welcome back. 8:30 on your Sunday morning. A very wet start, obvious from looking at our Decorah City Cam. Lots of rain out there this morning. We'll check those rain totals so far coming up in just a minute with Whitley Ritz. First, our headlines this morning. Recent shootings have rekindled a national debate over gun control. Some Iowans remember one tragic event in U.S. history as they work to end gun violence. In an eastern Iowa teenager's longtime wish becomes reality.
Now, from your 24-hour news source, this is the KCRG TV9 Weekend Morning News.
Welcome back, and thanks for staying with us here on TV9. Taking a look at our Decorah City Cam. It's pulled up on our monitor down here. Lots of raindrops on the screen, so very wet out there this morning.
Yeah, we definitely got a lot of rain falling. Waterloo has seen over an inch and a half of rain, 1.8 inches, and in fact they're reaching 2 inches as we speak. They continue to see rain. Our Decorah City Cam showing rain as well. And looking at pinpoint Doppler radar, you see that rain moving off to the northeast. Back behind it, you saw some red boxes that kind of mysteriously disappeared. That was a flash flood warning that has now been allowed to expire. But we do have a flood watch in place until Monday in the areas in green that will continue to see rain. And most of us will continue to see rain through the entire day today and overnight. Now, a different story are our temperatures. We see these temperatures into the 60s. Mind you, this is mid-December, and it's 61 degrees in Cedar Rapids and 62 in Iowa City. We've broken record in Cedar Rapids, Dubuque, and Iowa City. Waterloo pushing very close to that mark as well.
All right. Thank you, Britley. Nearly 3 years ago, a shooter killed 20 children and 6 educators at Sandy Hook Elementary in Newtown, Connecticut. Monday will be the first time that tragic date, December 14th, will fall on a school day in Newtown. Across the nation, many people are wearing orange this weekend to remember those victims and protest gun violence. KCRG TV9's Sarah McCarthy shows us why some eastern Iowans hope their voices will lead to change.
Aviel Richmond, age 6.
These are the names.
Benjamin Wheeler, Don Hodgesprung,
and stories.
Charlotte Bacon was 6 years old. She wanted to be a veterinarian when she grew up.
Are victims of a shooting so sad? For Leslie Petty, it's still hard to comprehend.
At the Sandy Hook Elementary School in
Her
Newtown,
writing.
Connecticut.
It's sickening to know that someone could be so merciless and so cruel.
She says helps, and she's not the only one using her voice.
We walk today to honor and remember all those who are victims of, survivors of, and witness to gun violence. We walk today because we know that that list is achingly, horribly long.
A long line of orange wove from a downtown Iowa City Library conference room to the front of the Gold Dome. Steps one mom says are for Sandy Hook.
I have 3 young children, and I very much saw, their faces in the faces of those children.
Something she felt so strongly,
and
she couldn't stay silent.
I think that for anyone watching that who was on the sidelines before, just felt, this is it. I have to get involved. I have to do something.
She's part of a group called Moms Demand Action. They want gun legislation reform and ultimately to end gun violence. A goal she fights for with her children in mind, saying tragedy can happen here.
They have to engage in these lockdown drills for an active shooter. And I think we would all like to get to a place in this country where that's not a reality for our kids.
That's why these people say
Jake Pinto, age 6.
These names,
Anne Marie Murphy, age 52.
and their story
On the last day she would ever attend school, she wore a new pink dress and her favorite pair of boots.
deserve action. Sarah McCarthy, KCRG TV9 News.
All right, thank you, Sarah. Air Care took an Edgewood woman to the hospital after her car ran into a manure spreader. The Iowa State Patrol says 74-year-old Verna Length tried to swerve to avoid a tractor on Gunder Road near Postville on Friday night. They say her vehicle ran into it, sending her into oncoming traffic. She ended up colliding with an SUV. Air Med flew Length to a hospital in La Crosse, Wisconsin. Just to the west of there, Air Care took another woman to the hospital after a crash near Claremont. The State Patrol says 30-year-old Lacey Nagel of Waukon hit a deer on Highway 18, causing her to enter the opposite lane of traffic. Her car collided head-on with an SUV driven by 58-year-old Susan Roberts. Air Care took Roberts to a La Crosse, Wisconsin hospital. A driver in downtown Cedar Rapids damaged a car and the side of a building. Last night, police responded to a crash near 8th Avenue and 6th Street Southeast just a little before 7 o'clock. Officers say a man drove into a car, then tried to drive away, then smashed into the side of a building. As you can see, the car is about halfway through the front of that building. The driver of the car initially hit was not hurt. An ambulance took the driver of the other car that went into the building to the hospital with minor injuries. Officials say a man tried to assault a police officer after he stole food from a grocery store in Cedar Falls. Investigators say a man charged at the officer in the College Square Manor parking lot near Hy-Vee. Cedar Falls police went to the store after 6 o'clock Saturday morning. They got a report that 33-year-old Michael Myers was stealing food and had assaulted 2 people inside the store. Police went to Myers' nearby home, and investigators say Myers rushed the officer as he was getting out of his squad car. The officer subdued Myers with a taser. Myers is now facing robbery and assault charges. An Iowa Supreme Court ruling will limit State Patrol troopers and deputies' ability to conduct vehicle searches without warrants. Des Moines Register reports that court came to a 5-2 decision on Friday. The ruling came in the case of Robert Party, who is fighting to get back more than $33,000 a trooper seized during a 2012 search. Troopers found small amounts of marijuana, but Party was never charged. The troopers searched the car because it appeared lived in. The nationwide average for a gallon of gasoline has dropped to $2.02. That's down 58 cents from this time last year. AAA expects that average to fall below $2 in the next few days. South Carolina has the cheapest gas right now at $1.79 on average. We have similar prices right here in eastern Iowa. California has the highest prices at $2.65. Today, an eastern Iowa teenager is reliving a big surprise. Yesterday, 14-year-old leukemia patient Sarah Petrick thought she was going to Clark University to discuss her wish with the Make-A-Wish Foundation. Little did she know she would walk into this. Petrick always wanted a flash mob, and the organization granted that wish along with a trip to Disney World. More than 100 people showed up to dance and cheer for her. Sarah's classmates and members of a jazzercise studio made up that group. She says the surprise made her feel incredibly happy.
It was shocking. I always seen that stuff on TV, and I never thought that it would happen to me.
Her family will leave for Disney World sometime after Christmas. A Cedar Falls man is in his 5th year of organizing a toy drive for kids at UIHC and the Ronald McDonald House in Iowa City. That Cedar Falls man is in his 5th year of doing that, and Paul Woody Woodward started that drive after his son stayed at the Ronald McDonald House during his cancer treatments. This year, Woody brought in more than 2,600 gifts, easily clearing the 1,500 he brought in last year. He says the reactions on the kids' faces there, it's worth all the hard work.
Just to know that minute or two, or very few seconds, that you brought a smile to a child's face is all worth it.
I think this one's animals.
Woody says his goal for next year's drive is to bring in 5,000 gifts. Investigators are still looking for evidence in the wake of the San Bernardino shootings, and this weekend, several funerals are being held for the victims of that massacre. A donation from one person is helping out the victims' families in a big way.
And pinpoint Doppler radar continues to show significant rain here in the TV9 viewing area. We're expected to see that all afternoon and evening. We'll talk about how much more rain you'll see in just a bit. Stay with us on KCRG TV9.
You're watching your 24-hour news source, KCRG TV9, with Brady Smith and meteorologist Britley Ritz. This is the KCRG TV9 Morning News.
My name is Colonel Martha Brooks, and I'm the Chief of Public Affairs for United States Army Europe in Wiesbaden, Germany. And this is my daughter,
Mackenzie Brooks.
And we'd like to say happy holidays to all of our friends and family in Centerville, Iowa. To my Uncle David Price.
To my Aunt Jean.
And to all of our friends and family. We love you and we miss you. Happy holidays.
Now, the First Alert forecast with meteorologist Britley Ritz.
We saw a lot of rain last night. In fact, it will continue through this morning and the afternoon and overnight. And as we look at live First Alert pinpoint Doppler radar, you're seeing exactly that, rain and moderate rain for some of us. Let's pinpoint in a little closer here up toward Decorah, down to Dubuque, all the way down to Manchester and into Cedar Rapids, where we're seeing some yellows. And that indicates, as you look at the legend, moderate rain. And that's what we'll see through the afternoon, some light to moderate rain. As this pushes off to the northeast, more rain will start to move back in, and we'll start to see the chance for some flooding concerns. So we do have a flood watch in place until Monday morning for the areas in green, and that just means the potential is there for heavy rain to cause flooding. So if you do come across a roadway that is covered in rain or water, please turn around and find a different route, because we don't want you driving through there. The typical saying is turn around, don't drown. Looking at our Cedar Rapids South City cam, some light rain falling, and that's about it right now. Temperatures, a whole different story. Check it out, into the 60s. Mind you, this is mid-December. We are a good 20 to 30 degrees above where we should be. We're breaking record for all of these cities. Cedar Rapids at 61 degrees, 62 in Iowa City, and 60 in Dubuque. Fayette, you're at 50 degrees. The rain continues through the afternoon. With that, our temperatures will slowly start to drop through the 50s. But you notice at noon, we're still seeing a lot of rain here, more scattered than not. And then when that rain really starts to pick up through the afternoon and evening. So 6 o'clock, we stop here maybe for a late dinner. You see the entire TV9 viewing area covered in rain, and for that matter, the entire state of Iowa. We continue to see rain through the afternoon and evening hours, picking up another 1 to 2 inches on top of what we've already seen. And when this thing is all said and done, we could see over 3 inches of rain for some of us here, and locally higher amounts across the TV9 viewing area. Temperatures, here's the different story. We're well above normal. Normal is 32 degrees. We're going to top out already at 61 degrees. These highs we've already met. 62 in Iowa City and 63 in Washington. 58 degrees in Waterloo. Tonight we drop down into the 40s again, well above normal. Normal is 15 degrees. We're going to bottom out around 46 degrees in Cedar Rapids, 50 in Iowa City, and 45 in Waterloo. That rain continues and the winds start to pick up back behind the system out of the south at 10 to 20 miles per hour. Rain continues for your Monday, but temperatures, now that the front has pushed through, 47 degrees and 46 on Tuesday. At least we are dry on Tuesday, and those temperatures are still above normal. Now, we don't hit that normal mark till about Friday, where we see 30 degrees, but from there on out, really, we're still sitting into the mid-30s. So we're still above normal for this time of month. But today, just well above normal, breaking records in Iowa City, Cedar Rapids, and in Dubuque. All above 60 degrees right now.
Wow. And like you said earlier, if you get to a road that's covered in water,
yeah, make sure
turn around immediately, because it's really hard to tell how deep that water is sometimes. Officials have identified a man who they say tried to burn down a California mosque. Stay with us here on TV9. It's 8:46. Officials have arrested a man they believe is responsible for trying to burn down a mosque in California. 23-year-old Carl Dial Jr. is now in police custody. Investigators arrested him on suspicion of committing a hate crime, arson, and burglary. On Friday, people saw flames at the Islamic Center of Palm Springs. Firefighters contained them to the mosque lobby area, but smoke damaged other parts of the building. The mosque's acting imam is now speaking with his board to see if he will need a new building.
Well, it's a physical building, and the truth is we can worship anywhere. We can worship in the parking lot if we so desire. The building just offers us protection from the elements and a symbol that the fact that we're here. We are a people of resolve, and I am absolutely sure that we're going to pick up the pieces and fix the building and move on.
Right now, Dial Jr. is being held on $150,000 bail. State officials are still investigating that fire. That California mosque is just 75 miles away from the site of a mass shooting carried out by a county employee and his wife who pledged her support to ISIS before the attack. Today, investigators say they have ended the search for a hard drive belonging to the shooters. Divers searched underwater in a small lake in San Bernardino for 3 days, but the FBI is not releasing any details of if they recovered any items. Officials received a tip on Thursday on the shooters Syed Farouk and Tashfeen Malik. Investigators have said the killers tried to cover their tracks by destroying emails, cell phones, and other items at their home. Funerals are being held this week for victims of that shooting. A stepfather of one of the victims couldn't afford to visit his daughter's funeral. Carrie Eatman raised 27-year-old Sierra Claiborne from the age of 2, but he was able to attend her funeral thanks to a Muslim doctor in California who donated about $200,000 to him and the families of 13 other victims.
A couple of days ago, this didn't seem possible.
I didn't know if absolutely, but it's enough to get there.
Claiborne's funeral was put on hold until her stepfather was able to make the trip. British Prime Minister David Cameron plans to call for a ban across the European Union on high-powered semi-auto weapons. His office just announced that the measure is part of a crackdown on the illegal firearms trade. It's also part of a long-term plan to counter terrorism. At least 23 people are dead and another 23 injured after a fire broke out at a psychiatric hospital in southwest Russia. A hospital employee says there were about 140 disabled people in that hospital, including 50 who were bedbound. At least 51 people were rescued unharmed. So far, the cause of that fire is unknown. The leaders of about 200 nations have pledged to try and slow climate change. The countries reached the first ever global pact to fight climate change while at a conference in Paris. The agreement aims to keep global temperatures from rising another 1 degree Celsius between now and the year 2100. U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry says this deal is a victory for the world.
The world has come together around an agreement that will empower us to chart a new path for our planet, a smart and responsible path, a sustainable path.
The nations also pledged to limit the amount of greenhouse gases emitted by human activity to the same level that trees and soil can naturally absorb. We'll check your first alert forecast coming up after the break right here on TV 9. Stay with us.
This holiday.
Back now to our top stories this morning. Democratic presidential candidates are making an aggressive campaign swing through the state of Iowa. Senator Bernie Sanders is visiting a church service in Waterloo this morning. Then he heads to Mount Vernon to speak at Cornell College this afternoon. Hillary Clinton will be in Iowa City on Wednesday, speaking at the Old Brick Church on the University of Iowa campus. And now here's George Stephanopoulos with a preview of what's coming up next on This Week.
Good morning. Just 50 days from the Iowa caucuses, major shakeup in that key state. Ted Cruz surging past Donald Trump in a brand new poll. Ben Carson falls fast. He joins us live. Plus, Secretary of State John Kerry takes on critics of the historic climate deal just signed in Paris. And our Powerhouse Roundtable weighs in on all the week's politics. That's coming up on This Week.
Checking in with Britley one more time before we leave you this Sunday morning. Make sure you take it easy out there, take it slow, and watch for those areas on the roads that might have water over them.
Yeah, it only takes 6 inches of rain to lift a vehicle off the ground. So if you do come across a roadway that's covered in rain, make sure you find a different route. Looking at pinpoint Doppler radar right now, it's still raining in the TV9 viewing area. Back behind it, still more rain. And that's what we'll see later on this afternoon and into the evening. Temperatures are warm this morning. That's another story. Into the 60s. We've already broke record there, as well as rainfall records. As soon as that front moves through, our temperatures drop down into the 50s and into the 40s overnight. Monday, more rain, and Tuesday, we're dry and cooler temperatures set in for the beginning of next week.
All right, thank you, Britley, and thank you for watching us here on TV9 on your Sunday morning. Make sure to tune in tonight at 5:30 and 10 o'clock with Chris Earl.